Top 10 most beautiful castles in the world. What makes a castle truly beautiful? It is the height of its own towers reaching toward the sky. It is the strength of its ancient walls that survive hundreds of years of history. Or it is something more difficult to explain. Perhaps it is the feeling we experience when standing before a place that seems to belong to another world. A place where stone walls tell stories of kings and queens, where hidden rooms preserve memories of the past, where every tower, bridge, and pathway reveals the dreams of the people who built it. For centuries, castles have represented some humanity's greatest ambitions. They were built as powerful fortresses designed to protect kingdoms from enemies. They became royal residences where rulers displayed their wealth, influence, and artistic vision. They served as centers of politics, cultural, and military strategy. But today, many castles represent something beyond their original purpose. They have become symbols of beauty, imagination, and history. The castle is now simply a building made of stone. It is a story written into the landscape. The materials reveal the skills of ancient craftsmen. The architecture reflects the technology and artistic ideas of its time. And the location shows how humans transform mountains, forests, islands, and coastlines into unforgettable landmarks. Across the world, thousands of castles have been built throughout history. Some were created for defense, some were designed as luxurious homes for royalty, some were transformed from military fortresses into cultural treasures, and some now stand as, as reminders of civilizations that have disappeared. Their walls have witnessed wars, political changes, royal celebrations, and dramatic moments that shape history. However, the beauty of castle does not come only from the appearance. Behind every impressive tower and magnificent hall is a human story. The ambition of rulers, the creativity of architects, the craftsmanship of builders, and the lives of countless people who contributed to their creation. In this journey, we will travel across Europe and Asia to discover 10 of the most beautiful castles in the world. From Japan's elegant white fortress to Germany's legendary fairytale castle, each destination represents a different vision of beauty. Some castles are famous because of their architecture, some because of their historical importance, and some and others because their surroundings create scenes that look almost impossible to be real. Before we begin, it is important to understand that beauty is subjective. There is no single official ranking of the world's most beautiful castles. This list considers several important factors: architectural design, historical significance, cultural influence, civilization, and the unforgettable experience each castle creates for visitors. These castles were not chosen only because they are old. They were chosen because they continue to inspire millions of people around the world. They remind us that architecture is not only about creating useful spaces. Sometimes human built because they want to create something extraordinary, something that can survive centuries, something that allows future generations to dream. So let us begin our journey to the most beautiful castles ever created. Number 10. Pete's Castle, Romania. Our journey begins in Romania, in the beautiful Carpathian Mountains, where a castle rises among forests and breathtaking natural scenery. At number 10 is Palace Castle. Unlike many traditional castles built mainly for defense, Palace was created as a royal residence designed to combine architecture, technology, and artistic beauty. The story of Palace Castle began in the late 19th century when the King Carol I of Romania searched for a location where he could build a summer residence for the royal family. He chose a mountain area near Sinaia because of its peaceful landscape and fresh air. The location itself became an important part of the castle identity. Instead of dominating a battlefield, Palace appeared to live in harmony with nature. Construction began in 1873 and continued for several decades. During this period, Europe was experiencing major changes in architecture. Traditional royal buildings were being influenced by new artistic movements and modern technology. Palace Castle became an example of its combination between historical inspiration and modern innovation. The exterior design combines several European architectural styles. Visitors can notice influences from German Renaissance architecture, Gothic elements, and decorative details inspired by other European traditions. The result is a castle that feels both elegant and unique. Its wooden decorations, stone walls, and tall towers create a romantic appearance that seems almost taken from a storybook. But the true surprise of palace castles can be found inside. The interior contains lavender rooms decorated with incredible craftsmanship. Beautiful wood carvings, paintings, sculptures, and luxurious furniture demonstrate the artistic ambition behind the project. One of the most impressive spaces is the Hall of Honor, with its enormous wooden decorations and detailed craftsmanship. It demonstrates the extraordinary skills of European artisans during this period. The castle also contains collections of weapons, paintings, and decorative objects from different cultures. Beyond its beauty, Palace Castle were also technologically advanced. It became one of the first European castles to have electricity generated locally. It, include, it included modern systems that were unusual for royal residences at the time. This combination of traditional and innovation made Palace different from many older castles. However, perhaps the greatest feature of Palace Castle is its relationship with nature. During spring and summer, the surrounding forests create a peaceful green landscape. During autumn, the mountains become covered with warm colors, and during winter, snow transforms the castle into a scene that looks like a real-life fairy tale. Today, Palace Castle is one of Romania's most famous tourist destinations. Visitors came not only to admire the architecture but also to experience the atmosphere of a place where history, art, and nature exist together. It represents a different idea of what a castle can be, not only a fortress, not only a symbol of power, but a place created to celebrate beauty. Our next destination takes us thousands of kilometers east, where completely different castle style awaits. Instead of European towers and stone fortifications, we will discover an elegant Japanese fortress known as the White Heron Castles. Number 9. Himeji Castle, Japan. At number 9 is Himeji Castle, located in Hyogo Prefecture, Japan. Known around the world as White Heron Castle, Himeji is one of Japan's most beautiful and best preserved historic castles. Its brilliant white walls and graceful design make it appear like a bird spreading its wings above the landscape. But behind its elegant appearance lies a sophisticated defensive system created during one of Japan's most important historical periods. Unlike many European castles built with massive stone walls, Japanese castles developed their own unique architectural style. They combine wooden structures, defensive pathways, and strategic design adapted to Japanese environment. Construction of Himeji Castle began in 14th century, although the structure seen today was developed mainly during later periods. The castle grew as Japan's political system changed and built powerful feudal lords competed for influence. Its location allowed rulers to control important transportation routes and maintain authority in the region. One of the most fascinating aspects of Himeji Castle is that its beauty was connected to its defensive purpose. The castle was designed with complicated paths that could confuse attackers. Visitors entering the castle complex would encounter multiple gates, changing directions and narrow passages. Every element had a strategic purpose. The white exterior that gives Himeji its famous nickname also has practical importance. The bright plaster helped protect the wooden structure and created the appearance that made the castle unique. Combined with curved roofs and elegant details, the castles achieved a rare balance between strength and beauty. Unlike many castles that were destroyed by wars, fires, or modernization, Himeji survived remarkably well. Its preservation allows visitors today to experience a structure that still represents the craftsmanship of Japan's past. During cherry blossom season, the castle becomes even more spectacular. The contrast between white walls, pink flowers, and blue skies creates one of Japan's most recognizable landscapes. Today, Himeji Castle represents more than military history. It represents Japanese architecture, cultural heritage, and the ability to preserve beauty across generations. Its combination of elegance and strength makes it one of the greatest castles in the world. Our journey continues back to Europe, where we will explore a Renaissance masterpiece created not only as a residence for royalty, but also a symbol of artistic ambition and power. Number 8. Chateau de Chambord, France. Our journey now takes us to the Loire Valley in France, a region famous for beauty landscapes, historic towns, and some of Europe's most expensive royal residences. At number 8 is Chateau de Chambord. Unlike traditional medieval castles built mainly for protection, Chambord represents a different vision of royalty. It was created as a symbol of power, creativity, and artistic ambition during the French Renaissance. The story of Chateau de Chambord begins in the early 16th century during King Francis I of France. After becoming king, Francis I wanted to demonstrate the strength of cultural influence of France. During this period, Renaissance ideas from Italy were transforming European art and architecture. Buildings was no longer designed only for defense. They became expression of knowledge, beauty, and human achievement. Francis I imagined Chambord as a spectacular hunting lodge and royal retreat. Although it was not intended to be the main residence of king, its enormous scale revealed the ambition behind the project. The castle contained hundreds of rooms, numerous towers, and a highly complex design that made it one of the most remarkable architectural achievements of its time. One of the most recognizable features of Chambord is its extraordinary roofline. From a distance, the castle appears almost like a stone city. Hundreds of decorated elements, towers, chimneys, and lanterns create a unique seat hall that has become one of France's most famous architectural images. The castle's most famous interior feature is a double helix staircase, two, two separate stairways reach around each without meeting. People can walk upward on one side and downward on the other side while seeing each other through the central opening. The design is often associated with Leonardo da Vinci, who spent his final years in France near the court of Francis I. Although the exact connection remains debated, the staircase reflects the Renaissance fascination with mathematics, geometry, and innovation. Beyond its architecture, Chambord also represents the relationship between humans and nature. The castle is surrounded by a massive forest area that was historically used for royal hunting. The landscape was carefully planned to create a dramatic setting for the royal residence. However, the construction of such a magnificent building required enormous resources. Thousands of workers contributed to the project over many years. The castle represented not only artistic achievement but also the immense power and wealth of the French monarchy. Over the centuries, Cha- Chambord experienced periods of neglect and restoration. Different owners changed its purpose, but the castle survived as one of France's greatest cultural treasures. Today, millions of visitors come to admire its architecture and explore its halls. Chateau de Champort demonstrates how architecture can become a statement of ambition. It was not built simply to defend a kingdom. It was built to show what humans could create when imagination, wealth, and artistic vision came together. Our next destination takes us to a place where architecture and nature become almost impossible to separate. A medieval world rising from the sea, surrounded by changing tides and centuries of history. Number 7. Mont Saint Michel, France. At number 7 is Mont Saint Michel, one of France's most extraordinary historic landmarks. Located on a small rocky island in Normandy, Mont Saint Michel appears almost like a fantastic city rising from the ocean. Its towers, medieval buildings, and ancient walls created create one of the most unforgettable still halls in the world. Unlike many castles built by kings for military purposes, Mont Saint Michel developed primarily as a religious and cultural center. Its history began in the 8th century when a sanctuary was established on the island. Over time, it grew into an important pilgrimage destination. The island's natural location made it unique. Surrounded by dangerous tides and wide coastal landscapes, Mont Saint Michel was naturally protected. The changing water levels created a dramatic environment where the island could appear connected to the mainland at low tide and completely surrounded by water during high tide. As the centuries passed, more buildings were added. The monastery at the top became the heart of the island. Around it, narrow houses and defensive walls developed, creating a complete medieval settlement. The architecture of Mont Saint Michel reflects different historical periods. Visitors can find Romantic elements, Gothic structures, and medieval stone buildings built directly into the rocky landscape. The result is not a single castle, but an entire medieval world. One of the most impressive aspects of Mont Saint Michel is the way builders adapted to the environment. The steep island required careful planning. Buildings had to rise vertically because horizontal space was extremely limited. The monastery appears to climb toward the sky, following the shape of the rock beneath it. Throughout history, Mont Saint Michel also served defense purposes. During conflicts between France and England, its location and walls helped protect it from attacks. The island became known as a place that was extremely difficult to conquer. However, its story is not only about religion and defense. Mont Saint Michel also represents human creativity in adapting to challenging environments. Instead of changing the landscape completely, builders work with the natural shape of the island. Today, Mont Saint Michel is one of France's most visited landmarks. People come from around the world walk through its medieval streets, explore the abbey, and experience the unique atmosphere created by the combination of architecture and nature. Its beauty comes from contrast. Ancient stone against the blue ocean, human creation against natural forces, and a medieval city stand alone between land and sea. Martian Michel reminds us that some of the world's greatest architectural achievements are not simply buildings. They are places where humans and nature create something unforgettable together. Our journey now moves north to Scotland, where a powerful fortress stands above one of Europe's most historic cities. Number 6. Edinburgh Castle, Scotland. At number 6 is Edinburgh Castle, one of Scotland's most iconic landmarks. Standing on the top of Castle Rock, an ancient volcanic formation, the castle dominates the skyline of Edinburgh. For centuries, it has been a symbol of Scottish history, power, and identity. Unlike fairy tale castles created merely for beauty, Edinburgh Castle was built around strategy and defense. Its location was one of its greatest advantages. From the top of the rock, defenders could observe the surrounding area and protect an important position. The history of Edinburgh Castle stretches back more than 1,000 years. The site has been connected with Scottish kings, royal ceremonies, and major conflicts throughout history. Because of its importance, control of the castle often represents control of the Scotland itself. One of the most famous events connected with the castle is its role of the struggles between Scotland and England. The fortress changed hands several times during periods of conflict. Its war and strategic position made it one of the most valuable strongholds in Britain. Inside the castle, visitors can discover many important historical spaces. The royal palace was once home to Scottish monarchs. Street Margaret's Chapel, built in 12th century, is one of the oldest surviving buildings in Edinburgh. The castle also houses important national treasures, including Scottish crown jewels and the Stone of Destiny, which have been connected with Scottish and British royal ceremonies. Beyond its historical importance, Edinburgh Castle is famous because of its dramatic location. From the castle walls, visitors can see entire city, including the famous Royal Mile and surrounding hills. Every year, the castle becomes a central location for major cultural events, including the famous Edinburgh Military Tattoo. The combination of history, architecture, and tradition continues to attract millions of visitors. However, Edinburgh Castle also represents the complexity of history. Like many historic fortresses, it is connected to both moments and achievement and periods of conflict. It was preserved stories of ambition, struggle, and changing political power. Today, Edinburgh Castle stands not only as a monument of Scotland's past, but also as a symbol of national identity. It reminds visitors that castles are more than beauty, more than beautiful buildings. They are places where history happened. Our journey through the world's most beautiful castle continues. Next, we will travel to the heart of the Republic, where one of the largest castle complexes in the world overlooks the historic city of Prague. Number 5. Prague Castles, Czech Republic. At number 5 is Prague Castle, one of the most remarkable castle complexes in the world. Located above the historic city of Prague, this enormous landmark has been a symbol of Czech history, culture, and political power for more than 1,000 years. Unlike many castles that consist of a single fortress building, Prague Castle is an entire architectural complex. Within its walls are palaces, churches, gardens, defensive structures, and historical buildings, representing different periods of European history. The history of Prague Castle begins in the 9th century, when the first structures were built on the hill above the city. Over the centuries, the castle expanded as different rulers transformed it according to their needs and artistic preference. It became the seat of Czech kings, Holy Roman emperors, and later presidents. One of the most impressive parts of the castle complex is street by the cathedral. Its Gothic towers dominate the Prague skyline and represent centuries of religious and architectural development. Construction began in the 14th century, but the cathedral took hundreds of years to reach its final form. The cathedral's interior reveals extraordinary craftsmanship. Colorful stained glass windows, detailed sculptures, and magnificent stonework demonstrate the skill of generations of artists. Every corner reflects the importance of religion, art, royal powerful throughout European history. Beyond the cathedral, Prague Castle contains several important buildings. The old royal palace preserves the history of Czech rulers. A famous Vladislav hall one, was once used for royal ceremonies, political gatherings, and important events. The castle also contains charming areas such as Golden Lane, a small historic street with colorful houses that once belonged to craftsmen and castle workers. Today, it provides visitors with a glimpse into everyday life within the castle walls. One of the reasons Prague Castle is so special is the way it connects with the city around it. From its elevated position, visitors can see Prague's historic rooftops, bridges, and churches stretching across the landscape. The castle does not simply overlook the city, it represents the heart of the city. However, Prague Castle also reflects the complexity of European history. Throughout centuries, the region experienced political change, wars, and transformations. Different cultures and architectural styles left their marks on the castle. As a result, Prague Castle became a living record of history. Today, Prague Castle is one of the most visited landmarks in the Czech Republic. Millions of people come every year to explore its architecture, discover its history, and experience one of Europe's most beautiful historic environments. Its richness does not come from one single tower or one single building. It comes from the combination of hundreds of years of human creativity preserved in one extraordinary place. Our journey now continues westward to England, where one castle has remained connected with royal life for almost 1,000 years, a place where medieval history and modern monarchy exist together. Number 4. Windsor Castle, England. At number 4 is Windsor Castle, one of the most famous royal residences in the world. Located near London, England, Windsor Castle is not only an architectural masterpiece, it is also one of the oldest and largest inhabited castles on earth. For nearly 1,000 years, Windsor Castle has been connected with the British monarchy. Its history began after the Norman conquest of England in the 11th century, when King William the Conqueror established a series of castles to strengthen royal control. Windsor was chosen because of its strategic location near London and its position overlooking the River Thames. The original castle was designed mainly as a defensive fortress. Its strong walls and towers protected the royal family and demonstrated the authority of the monarchy. However, over the centuries, Windsor gradually transformed from a military stronghold into a magnificent royal residence. One of the most impressive features of Windsor Castle is St. George's Chapel. This Gothic masterpiece has been the location of important royal ceremonies, including weddings, funerals, and religious events. Its architecture represents centuries of English craftsmanship. Inside the chapel, visitors can see beautiful stonework, detailed ceilings, and historic royal symbols. The atmosphere combines religious importance with the traditions of British monarchy. Another remarkable part of Windsor Castles is the state apartments. These grand rooms contain priceless artworks, historic furniture, and decoration collected over centuries. They were designed not only as living spaces but also as places where monarchs welcomed important guests and represented royal power. One of the unique aspects of Windsor Castle is that it remains a working royal residence. Unlike many historic castles that became museums after losing their original purpose, Windsor continues to play a role in modern royal life. The castle has survived many challenges throughout history. It experienced political conflicts, changing governments, and even damage during the 20th century. The major fire in 1992 caused significant destruction, but the castle was carefully restored while preserving its historic character. This restoration process demonstrated the importance of protecting historic architecture. Experts worked to repair damaged areas while maintaining the connection between the past and the present. Beyond its architecture, Windsor Castle represents continuity. Generations of Bruce have lived, celebrated, and made important decisions with its walls. It has witnessed changes in society while remaining a symbol of tradition. Today, visitors from around the world come to experience Windsor Castle. They explore its grand halls, historic chapel, and beautiful surroundings. For many people, it represents one of the strongest connections between modern life and centuries of history. Windsor Castle reminds us that some buildings survive not only because of their architecture, but because they continue to have meaning. It is a place where the past remains connected to the present. Our next destination takes us to the dramatic landscape of Scotland, a castle surrounded by mountains and water, where history and nature create one of the most unforgettable views in the world. Number 3. Donan Castle, Scotland. And number 3 is Donan Castle, one of the most photographed castles in the world. Located on a small island in the Scottish Highlands, the castle represents the perfect combination of architecture and landscape. Few castles appear as naturally connected to their surroundings as Donan. Surrounded by mountains, lakes, and dramatic skies, it looks like a scene from a fantasy film. But behind its beauty is a long and fascinating history. The castle was originally built in the 13th century during a period when Scotland faced conflicts and invasions. Its island location provided a strategic advantage. Surrounded by water, the castle was easier to defend and allowed its occupants to monitor important routes through the highlands. Over the centuries, Donan became associated with the Clan Mackenzie and played a role in Scotland's political struggles. Like many castles, it experienced periods of conflict and destruction. But in the 19th century, the castle was severely damaged during political conflicts between British forces and Jacobite supporters. For many years afterward, it remained abandoned. However, the story of Island Donan did not end there. In the early 20th century, restoration work began to bring the castle back to life. The restoration transformed the ruins into beautiful structure visitors see today. One of the castle's greatest features is its location. A stone bridge connects the castle to the mainland. The reflection of the towers on the calm water creates one of the most iconic images in Scottish tourism. Unlike enormous royal castle, Donan feels more personal and intimate. Its rooms, towers, and stone walls create the atmosphere of a place shaped by centuries of family history. Inside, visitors can explore restored rooms filled with traditional furniture, historical displays, and stories about the people who lived there. The castle has also become famous through film and photography. Its dramatic appearance has made it a popular filming location and one of Scotland's most recognizable symbols. However, the true magic of Adendonan comes from the relationship between human creation and nature. The castle does not overpower the landscape, it becomes part of it. Today, Donan Castle attracts visitors from around the world who come to experience its history and breathtaking scenery. It represents resilience, restoration, and timeless beauty of Scotland's Highlands. Our journey is approaching the final stages. The next castle will reveal even more extraordinary examples of architecture, history, and imagination. From a Spanish fortress that looks like a fairy tale palace to the most famous castle ever created in Germany. Number 2. Alcalá of Segovia, Spain. At number 2 is the Alcalá of Segovia, one of the Spain's most recognizable and romantic castles. Rising dramatically on a rocky hill between two rivers, this extraordinary fortress looks like something created for a fairy tale. Its tall towers, elegant roofs, and impressive location have made it one of the most famous castles in Europe. But behind its beautiful appearance is a long story connected with Spanish royalty, military power, and cultural transformation. The origins of the Arxaya of Segovia go back many centuries. The location was first used as a defensive position because of its natural advantages. The steep cliffs surrounding the site provided protection, making it an ideal place for a fortress. Over time, different rulers expanded and transformed the castle. What began as a military structure gradually became a royal residence filled with artistic details and luxurious spaces. The castle became one of the favorite residences of Spanish monarchy. One of the most famous figures connected with the Achaia is Queen Isabella I of Castile. In 1474, she was proclaimed Queen of Castile at Segovia, an event that became a major moment in Spanish history. The architecture of Alcázar is one of its greatest attractions. Its pointed towers, slate roofs, and elegant stone walls created a unique appearance that separates it from many other European castles. The combination of military strength and royal elegance gives it a distinctive character. Inside the castle, visitors discover beautifully decorated rooms that reflect different periods of Spanish history. The throne room contains impressive decorations connected with the monarchy. The Hall of Kings features statues representing Spanish rulers. One of the most remarkable spaces is the Hall of Kings. The room demonstrates the importance of royal identity and the desire to preserve the memory of previous generations. Each decoration tells a story about power, tradition, and leadership. The castle also contains a weapons collection that reflects its original military role. Visitors can see armor, swords, and historical objects that reveal how castle functions as a center of defense. However, the Alcázar of Segovia became famous not only because of its history. Its appearance had also influenced popular culture. The castle shape is often associated with fantastic architecture and has inspired artists, filmmakers, and designers around the world. Its location makes the experience even more impressive. From the castle, visitors can see history of the city of Segovia, including the famous Roman aqueduct and surrounding landscape. The castle and the city create a connection between different periods of Spanish history. Like many historic buildings, the Alcázar has experienced challenges. A major fire in 19th century damaged part of the castle. However, careful restoration helped preserve its unique appearance and historical importance. Today, the Alcázar of Segovia welcomes visitors from around the world. People come to walk through its halls, admire its architecture, and experience the atmosphere of a place where Spanish history was shaped. The Alcázar of Segovia represents the perfect balance between fortress and palace. It reminds us that castles were not only places of war, they were also places where art, culture, and ambition came together. Our final destination takes us to Germany, where one castle became the ultimate symbol of fantasy architecture. a place that looks almost impossible to be real, a castle that inspires millions of dreams around the world. Number 1. Neuschwanstein Castle, Germany. At number 1 is Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. Perhaps no castle in the world represents the idea of a fairy tale more completely. Standing high above the forests of Bavaria, surrounded by mountains and dramatic landscapes, Neuschwanstein appears almost unreal. It looks less like a historical building and more like a place imagined by a storyteller. But behind this magical appearance is the personal dream of one extraordinary ruler. The castle was commissioned by King Louis II of Bavaria in the 19th century. Unlike traditional castles built mainly for defense, Neuschwanstein was created as a private retreat inspired by medieval legends, music, and romantic imagination. Louis II was fascinated by medieval stories, German mythology, and the works of composer Richard Wagner. He wanted to create a place where architecture could become a form of fantasy, a castle that represents an idealized vision of a medieval world. Construction began in 1969 on a mountain location near his childhood home. The chosen, the chosen site was spectacular but extremely challenging. Building a large castle on a steep cliff required enormous engineering effort. Unlike ancient fortresses, Neuschwanstein was not designed to fight enemies. Its purpose was emotional and artistic. Every tower, balcony, and interior room were created to create a specific atmosphere. The castle was meant to transport visitors into another world. The exterior combines elements from Romantic architecture, Gothic inspiration, and 19th century Romantic design. Its tall tower, decorated windows, and wide limestone walls create the appearance of medieval dream. Inside, the castle continues this vision. Many rooms are decorated with themes of German legends and medieval stories. The throne room features impressive artistic details, while the king's bedroom demonstrates extraordinary craftsmanship. One of the most fascinating aspects of Neuschwanstein is that it was never fully completed. King Louis II died in 1996, shortly before the castle could reach his original vision. Only a portion of the planned rooms were finished. After Louis' death, the castle was open to visitors. What was originally intended as a private dream became one of the world's famous tourist attractions. Millions of people travel to Bavaria every year to see the castle that inspired generations of imagination. The castle influence extends far beyond Germany. Its appearance had inspired films, illustrations, and theme park designs. Many people recognize its silhouette even without knowing its name, and it become one of the strongest symbols of fantasy architecture. However, the story of Neuschwanstein is also a reminder that beauty often comes with complexity. The castle was extremely expensive to build. Its creation reflected Louis, Louis II's personal dreams but also created financial concerns during his reign. Despite these controversies, the artistic achievement of Neuschwanstein remains undeniable. The castle represents the power of imagination. It shows that architecture can do more than serve practical purposes. It can create emotions, it can tell stories, it can inspire dreams. Today, News Was Stage stands as a ultimate example of castle that feels like it belongs to another world. Its beauty comes not from military strength or royal power alone. Its beauty comes from the human desire to create something unforgettable, something beyond ordinary life, something magical. Comparing the top 10 most beautiful castles. After traveling across Europe and Asia, We can see that every castle tells a different story. Some were built to defend kingdoms, some were created as royal residences, some became symbols of national identity, and others were born from pure imagination. Palace Castle represents elegance and the connection between architecture and nature. Himeji Castle demonstrates the balance between beauty and military design. Champar reflects Renaissance ambition and artistic innovation. Mont Saint Michel shows how humans can create extraordinary places in harmony with the environment. Edinburgh Castle preserves the dramatic history of Scotland. Bra Castle represents centuries of European cultural and political transformation. Windsor Castle connects medieval history with modern royalty. Alien Donan reveals the power of landscape and restoration. The Alcázar of Segovia combines fortress strength with royal elegance, and Neuschwanstein represents the ultimate dream of a fantasy castle. Although the castles are different, they share something important. They were created because people wanted to leave something behind, something that could survive beyond one generation, something that could communicate ideas, emotions, and stories through architecture. A castle is not only made of stone, it is made of imagination. The architects who designed them, the workers who built them, and the societies that protect them all contributed to the survival. Without human effort, even the most beautiful castle would disappear. Today, preserving these castles is more important than ever. Tourism allows millions of people to experience them, but it also creates challenges. Weather, pollution, and large numbers of visitors can threaten historic structures. Careful conservation ensures that future generations can continue to admire these masterpieces. The beauty of castles is not only found in their appearance, it is found in the stories hidden inside their walls. Stories of ambition, stories of creativity, stories of conflict, and stories of humanity's endless desire to create something extraordinary. Conclusion. Across the world, castles continue to capture our imagination. They remind us of a time when architecture was created not only for function, but also for symbolism and dreams. From mountain fortresses to royal plexus, each castle represents a different chapter of human history. Some castles protected kingdoms, some celebrated royalty, some preserved culture, and some simply existed to inspire wonder. Perhaps the greatest beauty of these castles is not only what we see, it is what we imagine. When we talk to ancient halls, look at towering walls, or watch a castle disappear into landscape, we are connecting with people who lived centuries before us. Their words were different, their technology was different, but their desire to create something meaningful were exactly the same. The castles are more than historic buildings. They are reminders that human creativity can survive time. They are monuments to imagination, and they are proof that some dreams can truly become reality. What castles from the street would you most like to visit? Do you think this one stand deserves the number one position, or is there another castle that should have been included? Share the thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the world's most beautiful castles, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more documentaries about various places, cultures, and achievements around the world. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next adventure.